Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so talk a little basketball. First of all, I didn't do my homework on all of this, so I probably should have, but I'm just going off the top of my head. Josh Giddey, I believe, signed a $100 million 4-year deal, I think it was. Don't know the framework on the deal, and I want to discipline myself to say that I've made multiple mistakes in regards to my view on contracts, because how they structure the contract makes a difference. The perks, whether or not they have different clauses like Zion's clauses, or the specifics of the creativity that we have in modern times, where you could structure a deal to make more sense based on the team's projected salary needs. Talk about Dorian Finney-Smith's contract, for example. When I look at it from the outside looking in without seeing how they structure the contract, it's a terrible contract. When you look at it based on how they paid him differently each year to meet the needs of the team, it's a brilliant contract, and you have to view it the right way in order to understand it. So without knowing, I'll just say Giddey got paid, man. Holding out was a good decision for Giddey. It wasn't great for other guys who were on restricted free agency deals, but he was able to get the Bulls to sign him to a deal that paid him $25 million a year, depending on the structure, $100 million in total for 4 years. I think that's a good deal for Giddey. And just in a nutshell, I don't think that the Bulls necessarily appeared from the outside looking in to need to give him that at all. The Bulls have never been accused of making good decisions when it comes to paying people. They always pay the wrong people too much. This is just what they do. They're a bad organization, from my opinion. Based on my opinion, I think they're terrible at this, and have been since basically Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan left. So, yeah, this is just another one of those for me. I think Giddey is good on that contract in other situations. I don't know what the Bulls are trying to do. Based on their situation, they got Pat Will, Kobe White, and Josh Giddey on multi-year contracts. Two of those guys I don't mind having. Pat Will on that contract is really bad, and they are a team that's been trying to get out of bad situations. Vucevic's contract been plaguing them. Of course, they had DeRozan and Levine for a long time. They just don't do good. They don't do good in this way, and I don't, based on my limited understanding, don't see really anything good out of this contract either for them. It may be tradable, but I just don't know who they were bidding against in regards to this negotiation process. Who are they bidding against? Was this a justifying type of move to where you've moved on from AC? He went on to win a championship with the Thunder, and now because he was the player that you moved on from, being so successful, you have to retain the player that you ultimately traded for in order to justify the means of making the decision. This feels like that to me, but you never can tell. The Bulls are in forever mediocrity. I think it feels like a hopeless situation as it pertains to having championship hopes anytime soon. It just doesn't feel like they're anywhere near being able to build a champion. So, it just feels like we're in the midst of a bad run of just mediocrity from Chicago after having in the 90s them dominate. It just seems like they're so far away from being able to even reset, let alone build something special. So yeah, maybe anybody can stumble into some good luck. Anybody can stumble into a free agent maybe deciding to go there, or just finding a second round pick that turns into a Hall of Famer and changes the trajectory of your situation. But aside from something like that happening for Chicago, they're just going to suck for a long time going forward, just like they've sucked for a long time looking behind them. And that's just what it is. This is just, we're in the middle, it feels like, of a long stretch of bad basketball in Chicago. And Josh Giddey's contract, I don't think is going to help that at all. He's just going to be on a bad team. Who are you bidding against, Chicago? That's my question. Who are you bidding against? I don't understand this. Luka had a fantastic run in EuroLeague. Just moving on to a different conversation. Not EuroLeague, but Eurobasket for the tournament. And he was eliminated yesterday by Germany. I didn't see highlights on that. Don't know how he did. as of yet, but I know he was kicking tail all the way up until that point. 40 points, this triple double that. He was just putting up historic numbers for that tournament, and looked great doing it. I would have loved to have seen him get gold, but I think anytime as a Laker fan we can see him not play extra basketball, it's probably for the betterment of our franchise. And so, I have mixed feelings about him ultimately not getting gold. I don't want him to play no more basketball until it's time to put on purple and gold, and that's really where I stand as a Laker fan. But kudos to Luka for dragging a tough roster, a not so good roster, to the semifinals. I think was the semifinals, and he ran into a Germany team that just looks like they're going to win gold without any concern. He outlasted Jokic. He outlasted a lot of them, man. And I think his Slovenian team should be extremely proud of him. He should get a statue in Slovenia just for what he did this year alone for their team. So, yeah, that's what I think of that. And furthermore, with Luka getting into Laker conversations, I'm hearing that he's pushing for Andrew Wiggins. I hear that this is something that he wants the Lakers to do. And so it kind of changes my opinion about Andrew Wiggins, just because you get to a point where you understand that your superstar sees a piece that he believes he can win with, and you're inclined to trust his judgment and feel inclined to make him happy. Sort of like we felt about LeBron James and bringing in certain pieces. Now that we've shifted as the Laker organization toward the Luka era, you kind of feel inclined to do a bit more than what you normally would to fit what it is that his vision is for his team. You don't want to take that too far like Milwaukee did and bring in Dame to him and moving on from Jrue Holiday. You don't want to do nothing too drastic, but if you can do it without it hurting you, if you can make it make basketball sense, as well as your franchise health sense, it can be something that ultimately you'll bite the bullet on if you don't necessarily believe in it like I don't in regards to Andrew Wiggins. I'm not a Wiggins guy. I never was. But in a nutshell, I do think that in listening to more basketball savvy minds, they do see him as a piece that can fit in very well with the Lakers as a perimeter defender with length, athletic player with wiry strength and the ability to get in the fast break work, hit some threes here and there. Somebody who ultimately you can throw at the best player, and he will defend them at a high level. And I think that in a nutshell, you need that piece. We could use more athleticism, especially on the wing. And so, for those who want to bring Wiggins in and see him as that piece, I can see him as that piece as well. What I don't like is his contract. What I don't like is having to give up a player like Rui Hachimura to have to bring him in. I don't want to get older. I don't particularly like the idea of moving on from Rui because in this situation, because I think it takes away from your size ability, takes away from your LeBron insurance. But I also have been on the record saying that I was a bit tired of Rui. I didn't like what I saw from him in certain times last season and different things that just made it so that I was kind of frustrated with Rui and was ready to move on from him. So I don't think I'll cry if we move on from Rui, but I'm not overly excited about moving on from a guy who still hasn't reached his prime or maybe entering his prime, and he still has more growth ahead. But I also respect that his role on the team has had him playing outside of what's comfortable for him. We've had him playing small forward. We've had him playing center. I think he's traditionally a power forward, and I don't know if we're going to be continuing to ask him to play different positions or not. But to get the most out of him, he probably should be somewhere getting big minutes, consistent shot attempts, and just not asked to play perimeter defense in any way against wings and stuff like that. So I think that without having seen our team this year, for which we've made some real changes, I do think that Wiggins probably does fit better on the team than Rui. He probably will have more of a fit role for what he should be asked to do in this league. And so that's ultimately what I see there. But in a nutshell, if this was just random team A, random team B, I am not a proponent for trading Rui Hachimura for Andrew Wiggins. Not to mention that you're going to have to add more to it because that's not going to make the salary match from what I understand. So I just think the price tag on Andrew Wiggins has been rather high. I don't know if Pat Riley and company are ready to come down on that. They've said they wanted, young player and first rounder and all that. I'm not throwing in any first round picks to get Andrew Wiggins at all. At all. We only have, 3 of them to trade this upcoming season. I'm not moving a single one of them for Andrew Wiggins, personally. I'm just not an Andrew Wiggins fan. So to say that I'm willing to move on from future assets to get him would be a lie. I personally think if we wait, he could potentially be a buyout candidate because at the end of the day, his contract is not a plus. And Miami has had his price tag inflated so much to what you probably going to find is that he doesn't end up getting traded at all. Sort of like Vucevic, Certain times teams are going to have to understand where with players who are now on the other side of 33 years old, you can't have their price tag inflated so much that you make it impossible for someone to trade for them, because what ends up happening is you continue to press play on their careers, and as you do, they end up losing value on your team while you're sitting there holding their price tag up. When you do finally realize that they're starting to decrease in their ability, and you haven't moved them, you end up buying them out anyway. This is what we saw with Bojan Bogdanovic. 2 seasons ago, people were saying we need to give away 2 first-round picks for Bojan Bogdanovic. And he was a player who could really fit the Lakers. And kept hearing his name all over the place with this inflated price tag. I'm like, Bojan is old. He's like 35, 36 years old. Well, he really fits the Lakers, and he's such a three-point shooter, and he really fits the spacing. Yeah, but you're going to give up future assets for somebody who's only got 3 more minutes to be in their prime. And sure enough, right now, he's retired. It's like you would have gave away first-round picks to put him on the team. He only played, since then, probably like 6 games because of injury on top of his age. You would have traded him all of that essentially away for nothing because you had a price tag reflecting what he had already done in other situations behind him and not considering what he was about to be going forward. Now, if the Detroit Pistons would have had his price at a reasonable spot, they could have moved him and captured something for him before it was too late. But because they kept the price tag inflated, allow for the reputation to be that you would have to give up too much to get him, they were never able to move on from him, and he ended up dissipating into nothing. They ended up trading him where? Somewhere for like nothing, basically. Or he ended up retiring in uniform. I don't remember how that went. But the point was, they didn't get what they were asking for. In fact, they didn't get close to it. And he didn't do much for them or anybody else after that. So it's like, that's kind of how I view Andrew Wiggins. Not to that degree. I think Andrew has more left in the tank than that dude did at that time. But it's the same concept for me. I'm not willing to give up future assets for a piece who's now heading downward in regards to what it is he's going to do. Andrew Wiggins is expected to regress from here. He might be a good win-now piece, but if you're going to have him on multiple-year deals, you got to expect that those last couple of years you're going to be unhappy with the piece. He's not going to give you what it is that you expect to give him right now. Get from him right now. So, am I giving up future assets for that type of piece? Never. Never. Not even in a win-now situation would I be willing to do that. Not even to make it a perfect fit, and am I willing to do that? It doesn't make any sense from your asset class standpoint, and there are a million other ways to fit things on your team. To get perfect fits, there's more than one way to do that. You just got to be creative enough and imaginative enough to be able to devise other ways of finding perfect fits, more cost effective, and with pieces that are expected to go upward in their trajectory. You just got to find them. They're out there. You just got to be willing to give guys chances who don't have big names, who have yet to turn 28 or whatever year. You know what I'm saying? You got to be patient and not be tunnel visioned in regards to pieces that you envision will fit on your team. So to the point where you end up overpaying for them and getting literally half of what you expect because of their age situation. So that's my point of view with Andrew Wiggins. There's no way in hell that I don't just let Andrew sit in Miami and then wait for them to buy him out or wait for them to trade him to another place for which I can make a trade for him that's going to be much more cost effective for me. If I got to wait a year, I'll wait a year. But for me, I see him as a buyout candidate probably within a year, especially if Miami can't find somebody dumb enough to give them all that they're asking for. They're going to put him out there. He's going to roll another ankle, bust another knee, shoulder, something, and his trajectory for what you expect he's going to do is going to decrease from there. That ceiling comes down, and so does the price tag. So I'm not paying this price tag when I know he's going to start declining in my uniform any damn way. No. I'm out on Andrew Wiggins, but I will listen to more commentary that supports bringing Andrew Wiggins in because Luka asked me to. That's where I stand. I'm no. But Luka wants him. All right, I'm listening. And if I can get a deal, I'll bring him in. But I'm not overpaying for that. I think I can find that piece a different way that's going to give us a better asset in the long run. I really believe that. I'm not an Andrew Wiggins guy. Even when his prime, I wasn't an Andrew Wiggins guy. So now that he's headed down the other way and his price tag's inflated to hell because Pat Riley thinks it's 1979, no, I'm not doing no deals with the Miami Heat at all. Unless they're interested in giving me Tyler Hero or Bam Adebayo. I ain't interested in nothing the Heat got. Or future first-round picks. Everything else that he got, I don't have any interest in, because if I'm going to overpay for anything, it's going to be your best stuff. It ain't going to be role players and old guys who got 5 more minutes before they become obsolete. I'm not doing none of that. I'm not capitulating to none of that crazy, wild, inflated price tag stuff that Pat Riley's on. I'm not interested in none of that. I'll see you, Pat, when it's time to retire, or your, not your uniform, but put a statue up for you, which is coming up this year. We'll clap for you, but do not expect for me to co-sign no deals with the Miami Heat. I sat here and watched you give me a broke-down Kendrick Nunn. I sat here and watched you give me a broke-down Gabe Vincent. I am not taking Andrew Wiggins on the tail end of his career at an inflated price tag after experiencing those two things. Absolutely not. Now, if you're willing to take trash from me, we can do it. If you're going to take back Gabe Vincent, cool. If there's something else on my roster, although I'm not thinking about my roster and what I do not want, if there's something else that I could potentially be happy to get rid of, I'll send that to you as well. And if we can make that match for the salary, we do that. But for me, I'm not giving away nothing I want or nothing that I think I can use in a different trade to bring back anything that Pat Riley's giving me. Until he comes down to earth on his price tag, all of his assets, there will be no conversations between me and Pat Riley if I'm running the Lakers. It ain't happening. And I kind of feel the same thing about Danny Ainge over there in Utah. Certain guys is just like, yo, you only call him if you're interested in getting fleeced, or if you have information that you know could fleece them. That's the only reason you do deal with them. And you got something that nobody knows is lemon, you send it to one of them dudes. That's how I feel. That's the only time I'm doing deal with those people, because at the end of the day, they have a reputation for fleecing people and inflating price tags, and I'm not interested in getting fleeced by anybody for any reason at all. So that's how I feel. That's my logic. I think basketball health tends to come before basketball fit, in my opinion, because I'm always looking at flexibility as a means of creating a new fit for myself or bringing myself a different piece that changes my dynamic any damn way. So long as my flexibility is in place, I can create anything. Once I start locking myself in flexibility-wise, I no longer have the ability to maneuver what it is that I have, and that ultimately locks you into stuff that ain't good enough to win. So franchise health above all, literally all. But if Luka's on deck and he says I can win with Wiggins, we can try to devise responsible ways to bring him that piece. But I think the most responsible way to bring that piece to you is to wait till it's time for him to get bought out. And I think that's the most responsible way. And trust that it's likely going to come to that, because Miami don't know what the hell they're doing with their assets they never have. It's God's honest truth. So that's what I see there. Yeah, man, if they're willing to take Gabe Vincent, we'll give them Gabe Vincent, but it's going to cost more. It's going to likely take Rui to get it done, and I am not interested in moving Rui and Gabe Vincent for Andrew Wiggins, not based on my opinion of Andrew Wiggins. Nah, I'm not doing that. So that's really how I feel about that, man. I'm not against moving either one of those pieces, but just not for Andrew Wiggins. So, yeah, that's really what it is, man. We're less than a month away. I think we're 26 days away or something like that from the first preseason game with the LA Lakers. Now that Luka's, got out of Eurobasket healthy, feel great about that. The way he looks and his frame and how he's taking care of his body this offseason is fantastic. I want him to keep those habits up. It's only good if you keep it up, bro. Everybody's expecting for you to gain weight again. Everybody's expecting for you to sit back down, smoke hookah, drink, and just not take care of your body, be satisfied. That's exactly what they're banking on. So all the work that you've done, it only makes sense if you keep doing it. And that's what I would tell Luka Don. You've done great, but that was never the bet against you. The bet against you is that you would revert after doing great. Knowing that will put you in a position to prove your doubters wrong. But you got to know what game you're playing. It ain't to get in shape and be happy. It's to get in shape and stay in shape game. That's that you're playing there. So that's what I'll tell Luka, man. You've done a fantastic job. Please see the fruit in making those who were disrespectful about your name and sending you away when you didn't want to, and taking $100 million from you. Know exactly how to make them pay for those mistakes. It's by staying in shape, not just getting in shape. Make them pay. So that's what I got to say to Luka Don, man. Don't really have too much else to say in regards to my team. I am starting to ramp back up into my interest of this team this year after having a nice long rested summer. And we'll get back to the grind, man. We'll get back to this Laker grind. As you can clearly see, the content is coming in slowly but surely. We're getting back in the mode. BDF 44. I thank y'all for watching. Out.